The position of the Chief Secretary in the Tobago House of Assembly is held by the leader of the majority party. And this week, we give you a quick tour of the Chief Secretary's official residence. We have a great show this week. Stay tuned. I'm Davia Chambers, and Let's Talk Tobago starts now. We joined the nation in remembering former Prime Minister Patrick Manning. Highlights on the Parenting Community Outreach Program, and later, insight on the courtesy call by Arima North Secondary School. These stories and more when Let's Talk Tobago continues.
The Tobago House of Assembly has a plan, the Comprehensive Economic Development Plan, CEDP, and it is for all of us. Are you ready to benefit from higher levels of development in Tobago and a higher standard of living?
We ready!
The priority areas are branding Tobago, clean, green, safe and serene, business development and entrepreneurship.
Are you ready?
Human capital development.
I'm ready.
Social development and resilience.
I'm ready.
Improved infrastructure and utilities. Enhanced safety and security.
I'm ready.
Environmental sustainability. Tourism.
Are you ready?
Marine resources and forestry.
Are you ready?
Good governance and institutional reform.
The CEDP is ready. Join us and get on board.
Let's travel the island, straight back to my land, even to Thailand.
The official residence was built in the early 1950s and was occupied by a number of government officers. It was designed as a single family house and was finally rebuilt in 2013. It's currently occupied by Chief Secretary Orville London and his family. Now we join the nation in mourning the death of former Prime Minister Patrick Manning. He was a leader that contributed tremendously to the development of this nation and would be remembered for his achievements and dedication to productivity. We now reflect on his legacy.
Tobago and the Tobago House of Assembly joined the rest of the country in extending condolences at the passing of former Prime Minister Patrick Manning. Mr. Manning became Trinidad and Tobago's fourth Prime Minister in 1991. And he again served in that position between 2001 and 2010.
He is also the longest-serving member of Parliament, having represented the constituency of San Fernando East for 44 years, from 1971 to 2015. Mr. Manning believed in every citizen's right to access education and made it his personal mission to advance our nation's school system, with thousands benefiting from free tertiary education under the Government Assistance for Tuition Expenses GATE program. He'll also be remembered for his vision to bring Trinidad and Tobago to developed nation status by advancing areas such as energy, infrastructural development, sports, civil aviation, and political and social reform.
He was always intent on doing what was necessary to translate his vision into reality. And I think that this is part of his legacy. And many of the benefits which have accrued to the country and from which we are actually deriving, benefits now are linked to those decisions that he would have taken.
Mr. London also remembers the former Prime Minister's interest in ensuring that Tobago was on par with the country's developed nation status.
The investment in Cove, and that investment in Cove ran into a couple $2 billion. It included a gas pipeline from the BHP Billiton field in Trinidad straight across to Cove. It included a $600 million electricity plant. It included a plant on Cove which cost another $300 million. So basically, he was not afraid to take big decisions as long as he felt that it would have the desired effect.
Mr. Manning was also passionate about the development of the Caribbean. Many believed him to be a crucial advocate for the creation of the CARICOM single market, a system of opportunities for the region's labor force and economies.
He was a regionalist, and he did contribute both at the level of the region and ensuring that regionalism remained on the forefront, but he also contributed to many of the different countries, especially when they were in times of need.
In 2003, Mr. Manning was awarded the Guyana Institute for Democracy Prize for his outstanding work in upholding the principles of democracy in the region. And in 2004, he was awarded the Caribbean Central American Action's Star of the Caribbean Award for his steadfast support of Caribbean neighbors in times of distress.
Mr. Patrick Manning passed away on July 2, 2016. He has been laid to rest following the viewing of his body in South and North Trinidad. A state funeral is scheduled to take place on July 9, 2016. I'm Amadara Mills for Let's Talk Tobago.
The first Chief Secretary, Ho Choy Charles, occupied this residence from 1996 to 2001. Now there's a new committee in Crown Point dedicated to the advanced development of the area. The aim really is to make Crown Point one of the top 5 destinations in Tobago. Marlon Gottsleben has more on this initiative. Take a look.
The Crown Point Community Partnership Association, CCPA, is a proactive, vibrant and welcoming community association. The members of the committee believe their constructive collaboration will benefit their community. The association isn't about individuals, but Tobago on a whole.
This is a duly registered non-government organization that seeks to advance the development of this area in a structured and sustainable manner. It is indeed an opportune time, ladies and gentlemen, as our country faces some economic challenges. It therefore demands that the patriotism of all of us to get involved in a structure that affords for more cohesion as we address the challenges faced by businesses, civic organizations, and all of us who share mutual interests.
President of the association, Mr. Gavin Manzano, says that the Crown Point area is usually buzzing with activities. He believes the association can attract visitors to Crown Point.
Our main goals are to be the catalyst to make Crown Point one of the top 5 destinations in the Caribbean, and to increase the number of foreign visitors to our fledgling town.
Chief Secretary Orville London says he's pleased with the association's initiative and commended them on their great work.
We in the Tobago House of Assembly have been asking for the longest while, for Tobagonians at all levels to understand that they have to take control of their own destiny, that the role of the Tobago House of Assembly is to facilitate. The role of the Tobago House of Assembly is to nurture the environment. And when that happens, persons, interest groups, community groups, whoever, whatever, have a responsibility to run with that and to do their thing. Because there is nobody who can do it for a community as the community can do it for itself.
The Chief Secretary is also calling for other communities to get on board with similar initiatives. I'm Marlon Gottsleben for Let's Talk Tobago.
From journalist to school principal to senator to now Chief Secretary Orville London. By the time Mr. London retires in 2017, he would have lived on this property with his family for 16 years. Now we hear that the Conflict Resolution and Mediation Center of Trinidad and Tobago has come up with a faster and cheaper way for dispute resolution. That's good news for anyone seeking their services. Crystal George has the details.
Mediation through a third party can often solve a dispute with a mutually beneficial solution for the disagreeing parties. The Conflict Resolution and Mediation Center of Trinidad and Tobago facilitates such settlements that could otherwise end up being an expensive and sometimes public court battle. Board members of the center recently met with the Tobago House of Assembly officials to discuss its role in resolving conflicts in Tobago.
Mediation is a vessel that allows us the opportunity to import the aspects of respect and social justice and that philosophy that we need each other in building a Caribbean space.
Chief Secretary over London says the meeting shows the commitment and consistency of the board.
I accept the fact that it is challenging because we are operating in an environment where in many areas mediation is not the accepted norm. In fact, we're moving away from that, where conflict and adversarial relationships are the norm. And it is in that environment that we have not only got to preach the mediation lesson, but we got to ensure that that mediation lesson is understood and accepted by all the sectors in the society.
Mediation is more than just finding ways to solve problems between disputing parties.
Can we visualize mediation as the glue to hold us together, to transform disputes into positive conversations, to heal governance structures, and develop a new language of consensus, and recreate that sense of community which we desire for ourselves in this Caribbean? If we rub that magic lamp that is mediation.
The Conflict Resolution and Mediation Center of Trinidad and Tobago also offers workshops and seminars for people interested in becoming mediators. I'm Keishon Wilson for Let's Talk Tobago.
Details on the Parenting Community Outreach Program right after this short break. Let's Talk Tobago will be right back. Stay with us. This property was privately owned before it was sold to the Tobago House of Assembly to be used as the official residence of the Chief Secretary. Now listen to this. Parents hold the key to their children's destiny, and to reinforce this, the Parenting Community Outreach Program challenged the parents of Mount St. George. Here's what happened.
Parents hold the key to their children's destiny. That's the theme of the Parenting Community Outreach Program. This time it was the parents of Mount St. George who received advice on being involved in their children's success.
Research has shown that students with parents who are involved in their schooling tend to have fewer behavioral problems and are better academic performers. In addition, these students are more likely to complete high school than students whose parents are not involved.
The villagers have been encouraged to support the work and policies of the schools, particularly the schools' rules, since that can help in the positive development of their children as they mature into adulthood.
So if we're preparing our children, and that's what we are doing, we are preparing them for life, not so? Where they go into organizations where there are rules and regulations, where there are codes of dress and they have to obey.
The Community Parenting Program is an initiative of the Student Support Services Unit of the Division of Education, Youth Affairs and Sport. It started as a way to help parents improve their relationships with their children.
We're asking you parents to sit with your children and study. Make sure that they study. You have to set standards for their performance. Some people, you do good, they get 40 out of 100. You have to set the standard and provide them with incentives. So, but some of them, you see them fly away as school closed. They get 30, they're gone away. You have to say, look, if you get 80%, you have to set standards, and they will work towards it.
The caravan started in Mason Hall and has since visited several villages, including Bonaccord, Hope, Plymouth, Roxborough, and Bethel. I'm Omadara Mills for Let's Talk Tobago.
The official residence of the Chief Secretary is located in Hamden Lowlands. The property is more than 62 years old. It's located a stone throw away from the Magdalena Grand Beach and Gulf Resorts. Now keep calm and play cricket. If you train hard, winning is very easy. But if you train easy, winning is hard. This is one major lesson that applies to a fortunate local coach who participated in a regional training course to learn the latest techniques and developments in the game. Here's more.
Whether it's the Tobago senior players who are vying for a spot on the national team, or youths competing in the primary school's cricket tournament, they can all learn something from this man, John Pollard. He was one of 25 Caribbean participants in a Level 3 cricket coaching program in Barbados. Mr. Pollard says he paid close attention to bowling techniques and the use of technology in this advanced course.
The experience of going out on the field and, being a cameraman, because that coaches would have to adopt those skills, so to speak, where you have your high-speed camera that could detect when the arm is not straight when you deliver the ball.
Coaches also focus on getting to know their players' mannerisms and tailoring drills to suit their movements.
We did a lot of psychological practice as well. How to get into the minds of the players so that they can, get this information and use it well. The physical aspect, the technical aspect, and all these things. So it was, the course was a beneficial one. It was hectic, but I think the experience was great.
The two-part coaching program was conducted by the England and Wales Cricket Board in collaboration with the West Indies Cricket Board. Mr. Pollard, who's been employed with the THA's Department of Sports for the past 16 years, was proud to represent the island.
I think it's necessary. Improve the coaches, keep the coaches, in tune with, different changes in coaching methods and stuff. Because, I would have learned out there that coaching keep evolving all the time,
Mr. Pollard hopes to impart his knowledge to Tobago's young cricketers so that the island can earn more representation on the national team and eventually the international arena. I'm Marlon Gotsleben for Let's Talk Tobago.
When Chief Secretary Orville London moved into the current reconstructed residence, he remarked, "It's a vast improvement of what existed before. It's now adequate for any Chief Secretary in the future." And so, the next Chief Secretary will move into this house in early 2017 after the next THA elections. In our next story, we bring you the highlights of a police town meeting with Mason Hall residents. Here are the details from Kern de Freitas.
From grocery store owners to homeowners, the residents of Mason Hall want to see a greater police presence because of an increase in thefts in the community. This was one of the main issues addressed at the police town meeting held at Mason Hall.
What I'm talking about, sir, globally, an officer or officers that are doing patrol in their communities are in their uniforms. They break their uniform and they go into donut shops and they sit in the community in which they are patrolling. And that is what I'm talking about. Anything other than that doesn't have the effect.
I expect the police from Scarborough, which is your district, when they come to Mason Hall, even though they have to drive up with the car, to park up the car and come out and talk to the business people, the people on the street, so that you will have an appreciation of what is really happening in Mason Hall.
The residents also called for better customer service from those who are meant to protect and serve, an issue which senior police officers assured residents they are seeking to improve with collaboration from the public.
The idea behind it is that when you make a report, I expect my police officers to respond. And however they treat with you, I expect them to be courteous. I expect them to act with dispatch when you make the report, so that we're looking at quality service. But we want you to help us to help you.
Police officers also encourage residents to work more closely with them via the station councils.
The pastor or the clergy, the educators, whatever field you are in, so they come to the business community and they form what they call a station council. And they deliberate as to what is happening in Mason Hall. So you will give them suggestions. They will tell you what they are doing. Right? And that partnership helps to build the community that you want.
The series of police town meetings is an avenue for the police service to connect with residents. Such engagement is aimed at ensuring families can feel safer in their communities. I'm Kundi Freitas for Let's Talk Tobago.
Coming up, insight on the courtesy call by the Arima North Secondary School. Don't move. Let's Talk Tobago will be right back.
SIT Tobago, ready to provide your community with the highest degree of professional services in emergency response. Contact SIT Mariah at 660-0065 or SIT Speyside at 660-6096. SIT 24-hour services, emergencies, medical or other. SIT Pro, the new face of emergency management.
This residence is also used for official functions and has a pool, a meeting room and top-notch security. Now we switch things up a bit as we feature the social studies students of the Arima North Secondary School as they made a 3-day trip to the island of Tobago. It was a part of a school project. Their first stop was the office of the Chief Secretary.
A visit to Chief Secretary Orville London was on the agenda for 20 Form 3 students of Arima North Secondary School and their teachers. They learned about the history and operations of the THA and got information they'd only read about before in their social studies books.
I was a bit nervous at first because I thought he was a bit stuck-up person, but then after when he really got into the information, I realized that he was a very communicative and very respectful man in terms of that. The questions, he was friendly enough to even give us a segment to ask questions, to even talk so much about, go into depth about the THA and how the THA runs and the budget, and I find it was very nice.
During their 3-day trip, the group toured the island with stops at Castara, Charlottesville, Crown Point and other communities.
The tour stood out because the fact that if you go somewhere in Trinidad, you're not really going to see the coastal areas much. But when you're driving around Tobago, you're seeing the coastal areas, the flora and the fauna, they're very beautiful.
They also experienced Lambo's Harvest, a religious and a social event that's common to several villages. It's a tradition of Thanksgiving and celebrations, as residents of the hosting village open their homes to friends and visitors, sharing food and entertainment.
Part of the social studies curriculum, NCSE exam actually, they have a focus about the Tobago heritage. So they're supposed to know about Tobago and the heritage and the history of the island. And instead of teaching them in the classroom, we want to make learning become alive to them. So having this one-on-one interaction and exposure will indeed facilitate better learning for them.
When the students departed, they took with them not only the memories of their visit, but local sweets like red mango and tamarind balls. I'm Omadara Mills for Let's Talk Tobago.
The Chief Secretary's residence had some extensive grounds with fruit trees and flowers. The one-story structure also has a rooftop near the pool. We make a living by what we get, but make a living by what we give. And this applies to contributions to community groups, individuals, and projects. Here's more in this story.
A fall last year left 55-year-old Christopher Lindsay seriously injured, and his left leg was amputated. Now, he needs funding to have his new prosthesis properly fitted. Mr. Lindsay says he's grateful after receiving financial assistance from the Office of the Chief Secretary.
My quality of life was always a high standard from before, and it's just bringing me back to normal basics. It's bringing me back up to that level. Now being able to move around, go out, I'm not doing too much on it as yet, but be able to do certain things.
The Healing with Horses Foundation is also getting support for its annual summer camp. The camp is scheduled for July 11th to the 22nd. The foundation provides therapeutic classes and other social activities for differently abled children.
What we like to see is the growth in children. Some of them came and they could hardly hold up, and then getting on the horses, the therapy that the horses provide, they are able to sit straight, they're able to smile, they're able to, make different kinds of movements and motions, and it's a joy to see that.
The Tobago arm of Youth for Christ also got a boost towards their annual National Liberation Day festivities, which took place in May.
Sometimes being an NGO, fundings are hard to come by because you have to raise funds and you mightn't get the amount that you want. So, just having that support, I think it's excellent. And I think it's really nice of the Chief Sec to, contribute towards events like these, because I think events like these help to build the moral values of the people of Trinidad and Tobago. So I think it's a good thing.
The Mason Hall Police Youth Club also received funding for their community football tournament. The NGOs are being encouraged to continue making significant contributions to those in need in Tobago. I'm Kundi Freitas for Let's Talk Tobago.
What did you admire most about former Prime Minister Patrick Manning? That is this week's question. It's Have Your Say time, and here are the responses a few of you gave.
Patrick Manning was the best Prime Minister we had in Trinidad and Tobago. We had a wonderful life. He introduced a lot of programs for the young people of Tobago and Trinidad.
He was a man who stand on principle, a man who stands based on education. He was a Prime Minister for the people.
He served our country very, very well, and I loved him very much and will miss him.
His humor, his forthrightness, his management style, very, very constructive, and all in all a people person.
He was a very nice person, he was humble, and he was a good Prime Minister also to the people of Trinidad and Tobago.
I think the former Prime Minister was a man for the people, as he died and gone now. How he passed away, everyone should be appreciating.
He was a man of integrity, and he worked very hard for his country. A good Prime Minister.
Good Prime Minister.
We close yet another edition of Let's Talk Tobago, and as always, we thank you for watching. Please email us with your comments or queries about the program, and be sure to visit our website, like us on Facebook, and subscribe to our YouTube channel. From our house to yours, I'm Davia Chambers, along with the Department of Information, Office of the Chief Secretary, Tobago House of Assembly, wishing you a very safe and productive week. We close with a montage of the signing of the condolence book in remembrance of former Prime Minister Patrick Manning.
Thank you.